Hey guys, James here, 5-Rating-22. Wanted to do kind of a quick tip video thing for you with decals. Since I am using a whole bunch of them in this army, I figured I'd show you how I do them. Okay, so I'm sure there's other videos out there and stuff too that help with decals. So look around and find the best fit for you. I'm just going to tell you what I've experienced through time and trial and error. One of the things, if you are going to use decals, make sure that when you cut them off the sheet, get it as close to the edge as you can. Don't leave much of that clear sheet around the edge. That'll help some. And then also use some kind of decal setter. Microsol, Microset, those are really good. Those are probably my favorite. What I'm using right now is, just because it's in my area and I have a whole bunch of it, is Decal set from Model Master. So this stuff works good, and what this stuff does is it helps melt the decal a little bit to make it look more smooth on it, so it doesn't have too much of a lip, and it helps break tension underneath the decal so it sits flat, so you don't get a whole bunch of air bubbles and stuff underneath either, which can also make it not look realistic. But one of the things that I do to help out with decals is, now when you use decals, let me see here, decals on decal sheet, they always, the color is going to be different than the color you're using most of the time. This is a Space Marine one, but like the reds are probably won't be the exact same red you're using, and it has a little bit different tone to it, and it can kind of make the decal pop out and somewhat look out of place. Now you don't have to worry about that as much, obviously, with like black or white, but with colored decals it can look kind of goofy. Like on this one here, now since decals are semi-translucent, even the pigments on them, they do pick up some of the background color. Now my decal here, I don't know how well you can see this in camera, but it actually has quite a different shade of red to it than the tribal markings that I did on here. So this got more of an orange tint to it, where this is a very dark red. I've been using the Mechrite red for those. So what I do then is I'm going to take some of the color of my other reds I used on the model and try to blend this in more. I'm going to take this and paint it right over the red parts on the decal. And I know you're probably saying, well, if you're going to do that, why don't you just hand paint it on anyways? Well, it's like getting a stencil, coloring the lines, kindergarten type stuff here. So by doing this, it really helps out with trying to get this to blend in a little bit better. Be careful when you're doing this though, because then you can end up kind of messing up your decal. So take your time and try to get a steady hand. I'm going to try to show you some behind camera here, which is kind of rough. It's rough paint behind the camera. It takes a secret skill that I don't really have, but I try. I do my best. Do my best for you guys. Alright, so just taking some of my Mechrite red, handy dandy travel brush, and try to do this. So then, now, thin coats, not much paint on the brush, very little paint, because you don't want it running around and messing up the other parts of the decal. So do it thin, and it takes a while for this to stick because the decals are very smooth, because of the paper that it's printed on, the decal paper. It's not going to want to stick very well. The paint doesn't. It wants to kind of group up. So another thing I would advise is don't thin out your paint as much as you normally do. Leave it a little bit thicker. That'll help it adhere a little bit, but do it try not to get it glopped up in big old puddles or anything either, so you don't want it to look all goofy. So just take your time, do the best you can, you know, and just try to go around the other parts, like the black on this. I'm not gonna paint that. I'll leave that because black is black pretty much, and I don't really have any other things on this miniature that are done up in black, so it's not gonna stick out. It's not gonna look out of place. So just, but the red does. So I wanna add some of my red that I've been using to the decal to try to help it blend in better, and it will help. It'll help it blend in quite a bit better. It'll look like it's supposed to be there. So, and you just keep doing that until you get the color filled in. And this is something you can't really, you know, don't try to speed through it, otherwise you start making mistakes. Being that it's decal paper, though, again, it's kind of like doing a gloss varnish. If you do go over some of the other parts, wipe it off quick and you'll be okay. It won't hurt it, but remember, you gotta be careful too. You don't want to unset the decal. If you add too much liquid to it or anything like that, you'll end up disturbing it and moving it from the place you put it in. So be careful. Alright. I'm not going to do this whole thing, so don't worry, guys, if you're worried about me waiting for me to get this whole thing done. Don't stress it. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I just want to do enough of it to kind of show you. I know the color difference isn't showing up that much, but you can trust me, it is noticeably different than the other red on my model, and you might be able to see it here now with this on there a little bit better. Alright. Boy, these Venoms are kind of a weird thing to get your paws on to paint on. Alright. Coming right along. Alright, so there we go. So that's the bottom part done. It doesn't take that long. It's not that horrible. It's worth the 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you put into it. So, let's see now. Can you see that? Can you see the difference? The top part I didn't paint over. The bottom part I did. So, if you look at the bottom, now it matches in with that stuff, with the rest of my reds, which is nice. And you can go and I put this decal down a little bit so I didn't have to do a highlight over that part, but if it was up a bit after you get that first coat of paint on too, it's a lot easier to do a secondary one to add a little bit of highlight to it if you need to. So but that's it. Just it helps decals blend in a little better by adding some of your the hue of the color that you're using for your miniatures, whether it be, like, let's say you're doing ultramarines and the blue you're using isn't quite so bright as that, or light as that. You might, you can add some blue over it to darken it up. And the thing is too, you might say, well, I can't, if then I might as well be freehanding, but it's a lot easier to paint right over something than you think it would be. It's not rocket science. It's pretty easy, and just do it, have a very minimal amount of paint on your brush. Take your time. Use a smaller brush if you need to, so it reminds you not to hold so much paint, and wipe it almost dry, and just, do it in a few coats, and you'll be just fine. Practice a little bit if you need to or whatever, but it's worth it to help it blend into your miniature more. It'll make them look more hand painted on and kind of not so out of place. So I hope this helps, guys. You know, so leave me a comment or feedback or anything if you want. Like it, favorite it, whatever. All right, guys. Later.